Well, hello there. Welcome to the Illuminated Conversations podcast. I am your host, Brian M. Truskowski with Illuminate, and I am so excited to have my guest today, Kirk M. Samuels. This is round two. I had him on the first season, and we had such this amazing conversation about a very vulnerable topic, internet pornography, and how his addiction to that almost did ruin his life. And now he flipped that around and ended up writing a book. And now he counsels men and women about pornography. And on top of that, he has a mission to help over 1 million men and women overcome internet pornography addictions. It's such an amazing conversation to just listen to what he has to say. He's full of energy and just full of amazing thoughts, feelings, and facts around what's going on. So anyway, stay tuned. This is going to be an amazing conversation. I'm always floored every single time I listen to Kirk talk about this topic. So with that, share, like, subscribe, comment on this video to keep it going. And thank you for listening. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss out. All right, guys and girls, enjoy the show. Mr. Kirk M. Samuels. Oh my goodness. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. You are my first guest on my second season. You're the fifth guest on my second season, but also you're the first guest that was on my first season. And we had such an amazing conversation. I'm like, I got to have that brother back on my conversation because you have some amazing things to share. But before we get into that, tell the world who doesn't know who Kirk is, give them a little bit of what's what about who you are.
First of all, man, it's an honor to be here, man. You know, man, since that first day you and I met, I think it was at a Starbucks or something like that.
It was. It was like a weird first date, blind date.
It was. That's a good way to put it, man. That was a good way to put it. I mean, you and I kind of been, just really in tune, just in a lot of different ways, man. So I appreciate you and I respect you. And so, yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity, man, to be a two-time offender.
Yeah, it's an honor on my
and
side.
so, again, Kirk M Samuels, I am the intimacy incubator. With strength, wisdom, gentleness, and mercy, I co-create a world of intimacy and unconditional connection by teaching and inspiring 1 million men how to live free from internet pornography. And that personal mission statement was born out of my life story, man. For 30 of the first 40 years of my life, I was hooked on porn and I couldn't get enough. And to the point where it was destructive to my life. I had lost a career, couple marriages, and at my rock bottom, I was sleeping in the back of my car, preparing to end my life because of that addiction in my life. At the rock bottom, sometimes that's where the foundation is laid, right? And high rises and skyscrapers are built by digging down first. So yeah, man, I think at that rock bottom, I kind of I had a crossroad experience, that one of those God moments, I call it. And out of that birth, my purpose, man, my purpose in life. I discovered a method, a formula, if you will, how to get free. And, I put a score system to it and that sort of stuff. And then I began to teach that. And then after I began teaching that, I realized there was a narrative that wasn't explained anywhere. So I wrote a book called For Your Eyes Only, The Inside Scoop About Men, Porn, and Marriage. And in the book, I don't explain I don't unpack the solution to the porn problem, but I break it down from an understanding perspective in a way that I've never read before. I personify pornography and I call her a she, and I call her the IP mistress. And what she does that no one else can do, spiritually, neurologically, psychologically, physiologically, in the how she does what she does. And I also share with women how her man can become addicted to her, that woman, and what a woman does that pornography can't do. And that, that's opened up all kinds of opportunities, man, for podcasts, for radio shows, for just friendships, and just the opportunity to work with people, one-on-one and in group settings and all that kind of stuff, man. So I like to be pretty transparent with my story, because I think, when we're transparent and vulnerable with our journeys, that allows somebody else to say me too. And it's a great way to start a relationship, allowing somebody into your journey and connecting with them on theirs.
Absolutely. And I think Brene Brown was really the the breaker of the paradox, right? Of vulnerability is the key to intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've learned, and I don't think I know, we've learned so much as a society and as individuals from that journey. But one thing I want to say is there's a saying I came up with years ago, and I'm going to be making shirts soon, which is fantasy is greater than reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel like that's totally true, especially for what I want you to sort of go into. I mean, what you've described in part your story, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
journey of getting caught into the addiction to the
Mm-hmm.
point where you dug so far down that you built up, and now you're building this empire to support and help 1 million men be free from internet porn. I think that's an amazing mission. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? That you want to do that. So, and you're right, there are a lot of men that are out there that are needing that support, don't know where to turn.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously some men it's talking about, it's going to pique my interest if that's something that I have a problem with.
Right. Right.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
mean, how do you slip that in a general conversation? Hey, guess what? I'm addicted to porn. I need to do something about it.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, that's probably one of the last taboo topics in our culture. And and to that, pornography, I don't equate a value to pornography in terms of good or bad. I mean, I tell a guy, if you don't have a problem with it, if it's not a problem for you, then I'm not talking to you. But if it is a problem for you, then I'm the guy you need to talk to. But at the core, to me, pornography, when it is a problem for you, it's medication, right? And you don't have medication where there's no pain. So, when we can get past the medication surface down to the pain level and more deeper into the intimacy part, that's why my personal mission statement is I want to co-create a world of intimacy and unconditional connection, because that's what we're all looking for. I
Yep.
don't care who I don't care whether you struggle with something or not. You're looking for intimacy and unconditional connection. And so, Brene Brown, I mailed you a copy of my book. I know you listened to Brian Trukowski. I know you're watching this. You didn't write me back. You didn't call. You don't write. You don't text. No, nothing like that. Brene Brown, I know you're out there and you're watching this because you follow this guy. Holla at your boy.
There it is. This man, he's worth it. He's the real deal, yo. What was I gonna say on that? Yeah, it's truth, man. It really is.
I think in terms of what makes us tick as human beings, what makes us different than other mammals or creatures on Earth, or at least most anyway, is our ability to connect, man, and connect on intimate and deep ways. And I think when we live surface, then we're not living fulfilled, man. We're not living to the full potential of who we are as a human being.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was I've actually, since our last conversation, I've come across at least 2 women that have
Mhm.
shared with me that their relationship was destroyed by their partner being addicted to porn.
Yeah, no, I mean, 7 out of 10 marriages involve somebody with a porn problem. I mean, it's 7 out of 10 divorces. I'm sorry, not marriages. 7 out of 10 divorces involve
Still, that
somebody with a
ain't
porn
better.
problem. And you'd be hard pressed to find a relationship that ends these days where somewhere in there sexuality is off. It's probably one of the most prolific. I mean, and it's free. I mean, it's free and unlimited in our culture, right? And so if there's a drug, it's a great drug to have.
Right. I mean, I will say that, I definitely had my time with it, but it was back in the AOL dial-up internet days. And that was
No.
just like watching HBO static porn. That was
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that would be the cocaine to today's crack.
yeah.
Not that that's not necessarily bad. And again, I'm not the guy to tell somebody just stop. I'm not the guy to tell somebody it's a problem, it's bad, you're bad. I don't believe in shame. I don't believe. That's why I lead with my story. Like, I
Right.
can't judge you when I put my story out there first.
Well, and it's been said in so many different platforms, it's the person with the problem has to admit the problem and want to change on their own behalf.
Right.
Because elsewise it's fruitless. It really isn't
Right.
going to go there. So
Right.
while we're at this topic, I'm going to invite you to sort of share a bit of your story so that people listening, that if they're in this position, may have, at least support in hearing another man go through this and what it sounds like, and have anything a touchstone for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, from the time I was 9 to 39, man, I was absolutely hooked on this thing. My father was a Vietnam vet. Um, Came back with PTSD and a raging drug and alcohol addiction. He ended up being convicted of rape, and because of his background, he was sent to a mental hospital as opposed to prison. So I grew up visiting my father in and out of a mental hospital my whole life. When he was home, there was chaos and abuse of almost every kind, and when he wasn't, we would visit him. We would visit him there and sit with him. And so, it was traumatic childhood to say the least. But a lot of people have sad backstories. Every superhero has a sad backstory, by the way.
True
Remember
statement.
that.
True
Remember
statement.
that. And so, that doesn't disqualify us from greatness, I think. And then I happened to latch on to a very significant drug when I was very young. I had some friends, I was a latchkey kid. And so when I came home after school, I let myself in and I had some friends come over, and they brought over, a VHS tape. Back then, VHS was a big deal, right? To have a
Oh
VHS
yeah.
player.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so, they threw in this VHS tape. They were all older than me in the neighborhood. And when I saw that, I remember the name of that video. I remember the scenes in that video. And that video still haunts me today. And again, that was, 30 some odd years ago.
Wow.
I know I don't look that old, but I'm in my latter half of my 40s because black don't crack. Um, but that was a long time ago, and I still remember that, man. And it has impacted me. And like I said, I just latched onto it, and I just could not get enough. And to that point, I could never, ever, 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 ever connect with a human being in terms of intimacy and connection. For most of my life, until just recently, in this latter part of my life to this point, I had never been able to have a truly committed, intimate relationship with anyone, particularly any woman. And it was never, there was never a sense of satisfying
You
of
were
being.
living in that place of fantasy, right? Because fantasy comes in this very dramatized way. So how could you possibly connect to an everyday situation, right?
Right. And I was looking for something of substance, but I was consuming, empty calories. And it's like, yeah, sugar tastes great. And we can even be addicted to sugar, but sugar is great, but can you sustain life on sugar? Probably not. Can you sustain life on carbs? Probably not, right? So I was living on emotional and relational carbs. I had no protein. I had no sustenance, I had none of that. And so that absolutely impacted every aspect of who I was as a person. And this is my story, right? So everybody has their own story, but I'm just being, I can't speak for everyone that has had this struggle. Um, um, but like I said, I had that challenge throughout the course of my life, man, and it ruined a
And I'm
career.
curious, what was the rock bottom for you? When did you hit that bottom and just say, okay, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
It was when my second marriage was ending, and I realized, like, man, my whole life has become a complete failure, like, because of this. Like, everything I've ever tried to do in life, this is the self-talk I was having. Everything I had ever tried to do in life has failed, because of this. And this has had more power than me. I've been a slave to this thing. And slavery is miserable, man. It sucks, bro. I mean, being a slave to anything, man, it sucks. That's why freedom is so awesome. Freedom is like the best drug, period. It
Right.
is literally, it is dope. Um,
Dopamine.
well, I mean, and so to be able to live free, and even just free of not only slavery, but dude, free of the shame.
Mhm.
The shame of, I'm talking, not even talking the shame of just pornography, but the personal shame that and I think most people have in terms of a balance in life of the things that the voices we tend to tell ourselves, the things we think we're not. To be able to be free of that and to be able to love myself finally, like to look
Mhm.
in the mirror and love who I saw, to recognize that what I saw, and still today, what I see is a work in progress,
Right.
but to understand that who I see is a lovable human being. Like, I'm a great freaking guy, a great heart. I don't mean to do people wrong. I didn't mean to hurt everybody in my life that I hurt. Um, but so to be able to have that balance, man, to finally love that guy in the mirror, man, that's beautiful, man. It's freaking awesome.
It is. No, believe me, I hit that point when I was 30, on my 30th birthday, actually, where I could actually say to myself in a mirror, I love you.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that day. Um, what was some of the journey like? I mean, I can't imagine. or is there much of a support group like AA for men, for anyone going through stuff like that?
Well, there are like groups, like there are SA groups, I think it's Sexaholics Anonymous, I believe
Right,
is what that stands for. And there are groups. I mean, it's not, and so here's the stigma, and the stigma and the shame that goes along with pornography consumption and pornography addiction even.
right,
You can stand up in a public setting and say and confess to the world that you're an alcoholic, and okay, wow, you'll get love, you'll get embraced. You could stand up in a room and say, you're addicted to crack or cocaine or whatever it is, and oh, yeah, we'll embrace that, whatever it is. But if you stand up in a crowded room and say, I'm addicted to watching people have sex on a screen, I mean, man, the shame and the stigma that goes along with that, you can lose your career by admitting that. You could there are nursing lines as part of your HR at your company, that if you called with an addiction to substance abuse, they'll support you in that. They'll wrap their arms around you. But at the same time, your porn consumption can end your career, at the same exact time. So there's just a different set of rules for this.
and what I do know is really at the heart of really any addiction, really the baseline, the way out of it and the way into it are really the same, because you're just numbing out from a situation that you're uncomfortable about,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. It is a way to check out. It's an escape, and that's kind of in my book. One of the V's that I talk about is vacation. It gives
Right.
you a vacation from all of those things, man. And it's not necessarily as good, but it does give you an out. It does give you an escape. And like I said, unfortunately, it's free, but the price you pay sucks. Like
Well,
it's
everything,
free. It's free, but it'll cost you something.
right? Everything has its cost, right? There's
Yeah,
there's that saying, and it's not always in the form of dollars, right? Cost can be
yeah.
time, cost can be relationships, cost can be career, profession, all of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, man, the average cost of divorce, when I talk about 7 out of 10 divorces involve somebody with a porn problem,
Yeah,
the average cost of divorce, depending on what state you're in, could be, depending on your financial setting, could be, in the tens of thousands. I mean, you go, and what's the cost of your career? I mean, so like I said, it's free, but it always costs you something.
right. No,
And
absolutely.
then the loneliness that comes along with it, because it's a life of isolation. It's a life of being cut off. It's a life of sitting alone somewhere in a room or some space like that. That, what does the isolation cost a person?
Absolutely. So I want to start wrapping this conversation, but my sort of question to you as you're starting to wrap is, if one listener listening to this is totally identifying with this conversation, what's something that you would tell that individual right now who is on that path and just starting to discover this?
I would say, first of all, that that you're worthy. I mean, whoever you are, you're a worthy human being, man. You're worthy to be loved. You're worthy to be free. You deserve to be free. I would say that to that person, first of all, you're not alone. I mean, I remember the day, I was in therapy, and I told him, man, I feel like I'm alone. I feel like I'm the only one, and I feel like I'm on an island. And he said, well, if you're on an island, it's a very well populated island. um, and quite honestly, just with American consumers alone, it'd be more than the population of Australia, right? So first of all, you're not alone. Secondly, you're not a bad person. Again, who you are and what you are, or who you are and what you do, are two totally different things. You deserve love, and you deserve, freedom. You deserve all those kinds of things, and it's never too late. If you're still here, it ain't too late.
Right. And what's one small step that they could do to start that crawl out? I mean, like, I know we can get it on these things way too easily, right? So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
telling someone about it, deleting an app. I mean, what's one small, like, little,
I don't think there is a technology way around. I mean, I think there's a loophole around there are filters out there, software filters that will block out and all that kind of stuff. But there's ways around that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think the first thing you have to do is to reach out with somebody. If you're medicating life with pornography, you're medicating the lack of intimacy and connection in your life. And so the first thing you need to do is reach out and talk to somebody. You can talk to me if you want. You can call me. I have my cell phone number. I don't care. 720-515-6536. I mean, I tell people all the time, call me. I'm not going to charge you nothing to talk to you on the phone, but I think the first thing you have to do is to reach out and to talk with someone and to share, to open up in some level of vulnerability with somebody. Vulnerability is the gateway to intimacy. And so I think that is the first thing you have to do to climb out if you're in that hole, if you're in that pit. Um, because they're just stop, just quitting. Yeah, they make a patch for cigarettes and pill and all that kind of stuff. They have a pill to help you stop drinking alcohol. But there's no patch, there's no pill for this. I mean, so I think you need to break the cycle of isolation before you can break the cycle of porn addiction.
Yeah, and I think any addiction, it's like I said, it's a patch for something deeper. Until you address the deeper, it's just,
Yeah, I
I was
mean,
I was
yeah,
gonna say masturbation, but I mean it's no pun intended, but really, right? I mean you're just fooling yourself if you're not looking at the underlying issue in that. So
yeah,
yeah, absolutely that journey of that. And as a result of this, you've published a book and you're working on people and you have a new mission in life to service and
right,
you're on all these podcasts. I mean,
right,
that's the amazing swing around that you took out of this.
yeah,
And you have
yeah,
a
no doubt,
daughter.
man. I mean, I think purpose qualifies, or pain qualifies you to have purpose,
Yeah.
right? When you
Oh,
have pain, when you have an experience, when you have trauma, when you have all that kind of stuff, there are a million people that want to connect with that need somebody to help them say me too. There are a million people that need to hear your story, whoever you are.
yeah.
And so, purpose is not exclusive. There's no, ownership rights. There's no copyrights on purpose, right? We all have a purpose. We're not here by accident. And so finding your purpose, if you look into your deepest pain, it's probably your greatest purpose.
Absolutely. Man, this has been such a powerful conversation, Kirk, and it's been such an honor to have you back on the show for one more go around. Any closing thoughts that you have, and also how can people get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you? We already said your phone number, so we got that. So any
Yeah.
other angles?
Man, in terms of this closing thought, man, I like to say to bring the plane in for a landing. I think freedom is awesome. Freedom will cost you something. Freedom always costs something. Um, but the price is not too much for anyone to pay or to bear, to handle. Um, and so I would highly encourage folks, guy, if you're guy, and quite honestly, a lot of women today, if you're struggling, you're not alone. And freedom from whatever it is, like, it sucks to have anything hold us down, man. So slavery is terrible. I would say chase freedom with all of with all of your passion. And yeah, I mean, and seek your purpose. Find it. If you don't know what your purpose is, find it. Just start doing something. um but yeah, in terms of people that struggle with porn addiction, again, you're not alone. I'm not the guy that says, "Oh, I've been free from. I used to look at porn 25 years ago," and I know people like that, and I'm like, well, that means you've never seen it on a screen, right? I mean, so I'm not that guy. I'm not judgment shame guy. I mean, I can go right into what the experience is like. So, reach out. I mean, I can't put it any more clear than that.
Yeah.
And I believe in the guy that's addicted to porn is extremely passionate about something. And if he can be extremely passionate about something, he can be extremely passionate about something else.
Yeah.
And so there's greatness beyond the limits of that chain. In
Yeah.
terms of me, my website is kirkmsamuels.com. I keep it pretty straightforward. And there, my book's there, the work I do, how to get a hold of me, my phone number is even on the website, old podcasts on the website, all that kind of stuff, man. And I'm pretty easy to find on social media, all over the place, Kirk M Samuels everywhere. So, and then if you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of my man Brian. He knows how to get a hold of me, man. That guy, man, we text, man, during the day, man. I'm driving, I'm like red light, replying back to my guy. So, we're part of the Avengers, man. You and me,
We are.
man. We got superhero powers, and we're on the same team, same dream, man. And I believe in you, and I believe in your work. I believe in you as a guy. A little bummed out that you moved, but I'm okay. I'm gonna get over that. It is what it is. We all got losses in life, and that was one for me. But I appreciate you, man. Through the magic of technology, we can be separate, but we never have to be apart.
Absolutely. Well, this has just been such an amazing conversation again. And one last thing, I want to say it again, just because the potency was so strong. Give me that 2016 or 4.6 billion hours.
Oh man, wow, that's pretty deep. Yeah, in on one website alone in 2016. So where we at 5 years ago? In 2016, on one website alone, there was 4.6 billion hours of pornography consumed. One website 5 years ago, 4.6 billion hours. That's like I think 500 some thousand years. I mean, that's like 100 some thousand lifetimes. I mean, on one website 5 years ago. So, I mean, the consumption is like, it's off the truth. And again, that doesn't come from a place of shame or judgment. That just
No.
comes from a place of just the fact that you're not alone, whoever you are.
I think that's the mic drop right there, man. I
Yeah.
mean, let's let that just stand for itself. So with
Yeah.
that, thank you all for listening to this. This has been such a powerful conversation, as I knew it was going to be. Get out there, make a beautiful and blessed day. Share this video, share, like, pass this on to anyone you think may be needing to hear this message. And know that you are not alone on this journey. There are plenty of people that have been on this path along with you. So just reach out, ask for support, and you got this. I believe in you. All right. Be well, everyone. I love you. Get out there, make a beautiful, blessed day. Namaste.